The time 2:04, but the time not important today. Here's is what is important. The placing of the garland of roses over the withers of Smarty Jones, John Service, and Stuart Elliott in the spotlight along with their unbeaten colt. Smarty Jones wins the 130th Kentucky Derby. Crowd of 140,000 despite the rain and the reconstruction inconvenience applauding Smarty Jones in the Derby winner's circle. Here's the official order of finish. Smarty, Lionheart, and Imperialism. Limehouse ran well. The Cliff's Edge coming from way back. Action this day. Read the footnotes. Birdstone, Tappet, Borrego. Song of the Sword, Master David, Pro Prado, Castledale. Then Friends Lake, Minister Eric, Pollard's Vision, and Quinton's Gold Rush. And we're joined now by Jerry Bailey, the champion jockey who was put out of a Derby mount when Wimbledon was scratched. Jerry, that's our fortune because you join us here to give us a little expert race replay. Stuart Elliott and Smarty Jones. As we looked at the break, he got away easily, quickly, without a problem. That was important in an 18-horse field, right?
It always is. I talked to Stuart. He said he's a good breaker. He did break well today, which is not a given in the Kentucky Derby. And Stuart basically made it as easy as you could make it, and that's the whole idea of being a jockey, is trying to give your horse the easiest, cleanest trip that you can, and it actually, to the public, it makes it look like we were just a passenger.
Now, I got in a little tight here. There's like 5 of them across the track right behind Lionheart.
Yeah, he did, and he didn't panic. Stuart did a great job. He held his ground. He knew where he wanted to be going into the turn. He tucked inside Mike Smith. I think everybody knew Mike's horse gets out a little bit. He's notorious for being in the 4 or 5 path. I thought Stuart ran a really great race here.
Jerry, you've always said that the 3 most critical points in the race are the start, which Smarty Jones did well, the first turn, which went smoothly for him, and then the 3rd critical part is where you said it was most important today for Smarty, and that's starting into the 2nd turn.
Exactly. I mean, I think he held his ground enough to hold his position in the 1st turn. Now he's going up the backside, and he has no decisions to make yet until he decides to go after the leader.
And he's got a handful of horse here. He's just sitting against the bridle.
Believe me, Stuart's feeling pretty good right now. He's got a big smile on his face as well as the horse. And I think Mike did a good thing. I think he tried to steal off, but Stuart was very aware of what he was trying to do. And you'll see as they go around the bend, he asks Smarty Jones and he accelerates so that he doesn't lose any more distance between he and the leader.
Now he's going to ask him to run a little bit. He's taking aim now.
And this will be the critical part, right?
And I think this was a very important part for Stuart, but he knew how much horse he had. He knew he could catch him. He didn't ask him for everything, but he asked him for enough to where Mike wouldn't get away from him.
Stuart Elliott has been the only one to ride Smarty Jones throughout his career, and there's Mike Smith on Lionheart, and they turn for home, and the battle is joined right here.
I think the only thing Stuart's worrying about now, if anybody's coming from behind to catch him, but he knows that his horse is running.
You're watching Citgo Kentucky Derby Week coverage on ESPN2.
Welcome, sports fans, back to Louisville, Kentucky. The 130th running of the Kentucky Derby is in the books, and Smarty Jones has just shown Seattle Slew good company to be in. Whether Smarty Jones could go on to be a Seattle Slew isn't the question now, but Smarty Jones, the 5th ever to leave the Kentucky Derby unbeaten. Here with Kenny Mayne. Welcome to our show. The wrap-up to the Kentucky Derby, the 130th just done. The time is insignificant. It was a mucked-up track. Doesn't matter. What Smarty Jones did is very significant. Chase Lionheart, we predicted might be the controlling speed, but he had everything going by him in the stretch.
Somebody up there has a knack for thoroughbred drama, you know? Yeah. I mean, a year ago, what better story was there out there than Funny Side? And Funny Side, of course, goes on, wins the Kentucky Derby, 2/3 of the Triple Crown. This year, the big storyline, of course, was Smarty Jones. He was the public source, bet down to the favoritism. Not only does he win, he collects the greatest paycheck in the history of thoroughbred racing for one race, $5.8 million when you count the $5 million bonus from Oaklawn Park in there.
Right, for the sweeps there and then going forward to the Kentucky Derby. And there's another $5 million sitting out there if they wanted as well.
Sure, and no horse in thoroughbred racing history has ever won $5 million in 1 year. And Smarty Jones has already surpassed that with just this Kentucky Derby race.
Well, and one thing for those who watched us all day long, you know about the big electrical storm? We left the air right at the end of the Smarty Jones story, and Randy even made the comment, how fitting, because he'd done well on an off-track before. We go off the air, we come back, he's your winner. The field as it looked before the race, these are the final odds, and Limehouse, we should mention, got up to be fourth at 41-1 for those fortunate enough to have the superfecta with him on the bottom of that. You have Imperialism at 10-1, ran a very game race with Kent DeSormo.
Lionheart took late action. You saw he was 5-1, but Smarty Jones still held firm as the 4-1 post-time favorite.
And again, it wasn't just because of the backstory. Actually, it wasn't just one story. There were like 4 or 5 overlapping stories. But a solid horse. You just don't dispute a horse who's unbeaten coming into this competition. Even though he was knocked a bit, saying, where is he in the big races? Well, he did that in the big race, and now he just did it on the biggest stage in the world in horse racing.
The public was absolutely 100% correct. In fact, they had the exacta.
So
4-1 for the favorite Smarty Jones. The second choice, 5-1 Lionheart. Tappet was the third pick at 6-1.
in a year that was supposed to be so wide open. We probably threw that out there too, just because it was such a silly season. Final results now of the race, and we will show you this race, I promise, very soon. Smarty Jones giving back $10.20 to its backers. Lionheart $8.20 for the place, and Imperialism, Kristen Mulhall got Imperialism to get up for the show. Exact as Randy mentioned, $65.20.
We're actually not allowed to show you the race until NBC is off the air. Officially.
Not that we want you to turn to NBC.
Right.
At this point, it's boring over there. They're just like talking about stuff that has nothing to do with the race. Stay with us. We're going to show you the race. Yep, Smarty Jones, get it ready. Looks like they had it ready. The favorites won again, first since Fusaichi Pegasus. We'll see in a minute.
This ESPN2 presentation of the Citgo Kentucky Derby 2004 is brought to you by Citgo, fueling the greatest of American sports. By Visa, proud sponsor of the Visa Triple Crown. By Michelob Ultra, lose the carbs, not the taste. By Claiborne Farm, where champions begin. By Bessemer Trust, enhancing private wealth for generations. And by Long John Silver's new Buffalo Chicken Planks.
Reminder that you can get all the fine racing information on ESPN.com. In fact, they have live updates, they have moving pictures, they got everything. But right now, you got television. You got me, you got Randy Moss. Randy, we mentioned a couple times, in fact, on the earlier show during the day when we were doing the lead-up races, had the story on Smarty Jones. Can you sort of synthesize it? Because here we got a great horse. We also had a great story, but he was still a great horse without that story. You know what I'm saying?
A little horse with a very ordinary pedigree, very ordinary-looking horse. Looks like he's going to turn out to be a nice racehorse. As a 2-year-old, he rears up, slams his head into the starting gate, fractured his skull in a lot of places. They thought he was going to die, knocked him unconscious. Somehow, miraculously came back from that, won his first 3 starts. Even before that, though, the original trainer, Bob Kamak, that had planned the mating that led to Smarty Jones, that was the advisor of the owners, he and his wife were murdered. So more drama going there. Smarty Jones ends up 6 for 6 with a $5 million bonus at stake going into the Kentucky Derby, and look what happens.
Well, now, not to be discounted at all. Even if at 4-1, you know, you shorten the field, I think it might have been a 2-1. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You reduce the field. He was clearly the betting favorite in this, and clearly the winner of the race.
And his owner, Roy Chapman, 77 years old, in a wheelchair, suffering from emphysema. And when you saw the video of him celebrating, I was a little worried. He had to sit down and really collect himself.
Well, that's a lot to take in for anyone.
Yes,
absolutely.
definitely.
Patrick Biancone, the trainer of Lionheart, just the other night at the trainers' dinner, predicted victory. And I don't know if it was something where he got carried away and he was just so proud of his horse. He says, sure, we're going to go out and win this thing.
I listened to him.
He was wrong, but not that wrong. Lionheart ran a very game race. Here he is now with Kurt Hoover.
Patrick, your second trip to the Derby, a successful one, short of winning. Your horse ran as good as a horse can run.
Yeah, he ran a big race. He's a lovely horse and lovely ride.
Mike Smith rode a very good race, put him in front, opened up when he could. What about track condition? How did that play into your race?
I don't know, but they all have the same track, and I just give a lot of respect to the winner, who is a real champion, and we was not too far behind him, and I hope next time we can go a bit closer. And you know, I said to all my friends, for me this year look like a new Alidar affirm year, you know, and I hope we are not Alidar, and so far we are, but we try to improve from that.
Can you explain how you felt being in front by a couple lengths going down the backstretch and then into the turn?
I'm not suffered too much because I see Smarty Jones going very well behind us, and he was better than us today. And I hope if everything go right in 2 weeks, we get a nice revenge.
Thank you, Patrick.
Well, actually, he opened up more than a couple. Wasn't it up to like about a 4-length lead as they drove down the backstretch? He got a really good amount of space that looked like maybe he had just fully taken control of the race.
Possibly. And on the backstretch there, Stuart Elliott, who was another component to the story. John Service trainer, jockey Stuart Elliott, plus the owners, had never had a Kentucky Derby starter before.
And Elliott, been around a while.
Yeah, Elliott put Smarty Jones in perfect position on the backstretch, and we'll talk more about that later when we actually see the video.
All right, right now the final order of finish. If you didn't pick a winner, look down and then keep on looking down. There you go. There's Tappet in 9th. But then Hank had Borrego in 10th. Who was your horse again?
Lionheart.
Lionheart. Well, Randy's the winner there, unofficial winner. There's your first 10, all the way down to 18, of course, the 2 scratches, Wimbledon and St. Averill. Quinton's Gold Rush, the last one to make the race on money, the last to finish the race on this Saturday here, the first Saturday in May. We're coming right back to Churchill Downs. Coverage continuing of the 130th running of the Kentucky Derby. We got an unbeaten going forward to Pimlico, joining Seattle Slew. It's Smarty Jones. Stay around. We'll show you the race next.
Presentation of the National Thoroughbred Racing Association continues on ESPN2.
Back here at Churchill Downs after the convincing win in the 130th Kentucky Derby by Smarty Jones. I got it at 2 3/4 lengths, correct, Randy? Wire to wire. We'll show the race, certainly. On. If it's up to me, we just show it right now. I mean, they're reading the phone book over there. I think we just show it. Wanna? No. Okay, well, Todd Pletcher, he had 2 horses in this race. One of them, Limehouse from the rail, as you predicted, would be taken back a little bit, not rushed out there. Normally a speed horse, ran the right race, ran 4th, very solid effort, completed a huge superfecta, $40,000. His other was Pollard's Vision. Speaking here of Todd Pletcher, the trainer, he's with Kurt Hoover.
Come true. This is the first time that we
Todd, you didn't win, but it's been a pretty good week for you. You had to be happy with Limehouse's performance, finishing 4th today.
I thought he ran super. We got a great trip. You know, he saved ground the whole way, turning for home, and you know, the winner and Lionheart were just too good. I was hoping we'd hold on for 3rd there. Imperialism came by us late, but I was proud of his effort.
Been quite a journey from the 2-year-old stake last year, winning it, to coming back to the Kentucky Derby. Talk about that.
Well, it's a real credit to the toughness of the horse, you know. I mean, to run here a year ago and win the 3 Chimneys and come back a year later and, you know, run a bang-up race in the Derby. He's a very, very solid colt, and, you know, we're pleased with the way he ran today.
Plans to go on to the Preakness if he comes out okay?
Well, we'll regroup and kind of assess the field and see how it shakes out, and I'll get with Mr. Campbell and see. I'd say it's a possibility at this point.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Limehouse, after that big win in the Hutchison, which we saw on the same day where we opened the season back at Gulfstream Park, right away when you win a race like that, like, wow, looks like a good sprinter. Then the question is, does he go forward at the classic distance? He proved he can at least finish the thing. You know, he's not winning it, but good effort all around. You can go many directions with that one.
He definitely gets a lot of consistency points. I mean, he's got 10 starts now, and he's been in the money in every race except for 2 now. And he's not quite as good as Smarty Jones or Lionheart, but he's still hanging in there and running well.
All right, well, each and every one of the owners and trainers got to make the decisions about what's next. There'll be some others who weren't even in this race, so they're sitting there waiting for Smarty Jones for Pimlico. The same thing goes for the Belmont down the road. I want to remind you that ESPN shows many, many fine sports. And in fact, did you have any idea at all? The Heat, the Hornets, that'll be on the TV. Just leave your TV on, 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. The players should have their parental permission slips in by noon. That's NBA on ESPN. Well, that's kind of what the race looked like. The first one there is, no, we're going to show the race. I'm not lying this time. Actual horses will run in a circle. It's called the Kentucky Derby. We're coming back in a minute.
This ESPN2 presentation of the Citgo Kentucky Derby 2004 is brought to you by Citgo, fueling the greatest of American sports. By Visa, proud sponsor of the Visa Triple Crown. By Michelob Ultra, lose the carbs, not the taste. By Argent Mortgage, ask your mortgage broker about an Argent loan. By Dodge, You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. And by Long John Silver's new Buffalo Chicken Planks. Equibase.com, your official online source for racing information from entries to results and everything in between. Equibase.com is a service of Equibase Company, the thoroughbred industry's official database.
There's Michael Dickinson. Didn't feed him enough beer. Tappet did not get it done. Dickinson, of course, out before the race, checking the track. He doesn't get it done this time. There'll be another day for Tappet. Smarty Jones is the victor in this one. His trainer, John Service. His owner just hauled in $5.8 million, Roy Chapman. Here's the call of the race from Tom Durkin. They loaded up this way. All 18 of them got to use 2 gates here. Tom Durkin can call a horse race.
Important in an 18-horse field, right?
It always.
Bump from the cliff's edge at the start. Read the footnotes, comes away in good order, and there's Lionheart flashing his early speed today. Minister Eric is up close to the pace. Limehose down toward the inside has been taken back. Quinton's Gold Rush in the far outside. Bias for the first time. Lionheart leads the way in a host of pursuers. Minister Eric is there. Read the footnotes is third. Smarty Jones very eager. He's fourth. Pollard's Vision is there on the outside, and Quinton's Gold Rush stacks 6 wide as they move into the clubhouse turn. Farther back, Master David is running along in 7th position. Borrego is 8th on the outside. Pro Prado moves up into 9th. Birdstone is 10th, and in between horses, Limehouse is saving ground 11th. Castledale in the clear. He's now running in 12th. Friends Lake is now 13th. Song of the Sword is 14th. Tappet is running together 15th and 16th with the Cliff's Edge. And Imperialism is 17th. He has but 1 horse beaten, and that is action this day. The opening half mile, 46 3/5 seconds. And Lionheart throws down the gauntlet and opens up by 3. Testing fractions for him, 5 furlongs to go. Smarty Jones is a stalking second as they approach the far turn. Pollard's Vision in the clear, and he's right there third. Minister Eric down on the inside, moving from 4th. Read the footnotes is handling the track well. He's 5th between horses with a half mile to run. They've run 3/4 in 1:11 and 4. Borrego's beginning to pick it up on the outside. Pollard's Vision threads his way through in between horses. And there goes Tappet. Tappet is circling horses on the far outside, and the Cliff's Edge is following him, and Imperialism is pisking his way through, down toward the inside, now to the outside, and Master David follows him. They're 12 lengths from the lead as Lionheart turns for home, and undefeated Smarty Jones comes wide off the turn, and these two hook up at the top of the stretch. Lionheart is all heart. Smarty Jones is all out, and those two deadlocked at the 8th pole, and Smarty Jones is rose to the lead by journeyman jockey Stuart Elliott, and they have taken the lead away from Lionheart. Farther back, it's Limehouse and Imperialism, and here is the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle Slough in 1977. Smarty Jones has done it.
Yeah, he did. There's Roy Chapman, the owner. John Service, the trainer. He's the winner here. And Quint Kesnick is right next to him to get the winning commentary.
John, the amazing story of Smarty Jones continues to get better and better for you. Turning for home there. You saw Stewart had a little left in the gas tank. Take us through that final 8th.
Well, you know, down the backside even, you know, he had him in such good position. He was getting some pressure from the outside. They were trying to push him down inside where the going's a lot deeper. And I could see he had his head cocked out, so I knew Stu was keeping him out off the rail, maintaining his position. And when he came to Lionheart at the head of the stretch, yeah, right in here you can see where they're trying to push him down in there. And when he came to Lionheart at the head of the stretch, and I saw he was still sitting, I was starting to feel really good.
This is a horse that was close to life and death as a 2-year-old. You debuted him in November. Any inclination that he'd have this kind of quality ever?
No, again, I mean, George Isaacs has a great eye for a horse, and he was the farm manager of Bridlewood. When he sent me this horse, he told me he was a very talented horse, but I think even for George and I both, this is above our expectations.
Turning for home, what's going through your mind? When did you say, hey, I got $5 million?
Coming to the 8th pole, I was thinking of Bob Baffert because he told me, he said, if you get to the 8th pole and it looks like you're going to win the race, you're going to be overcome by a feeling like you've never had, ever. And he was dead right, and I'm thinking, oh, my God. I mean, it was just an unbelievable feeling.
Your first Derby. This horse is all blue collar and all family. Talk about the importance for Patricia and Roy Chapman.
Well, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Chapman, first of all, are fantastic people. I mean, they're a joy to train for. They've been great with me with this horse as far as anything I want to do with him. And they've been behind us 100%. And for me to have an opportunity to train a horse like this for them, what it's done for my family, what it's done for the state of Pennsylvania and for Philadelphia Park, you know, I just can't thank them enough. I mean, they are great, great people.
You take the hardware back to Philadelphia Park with the Kentucky Derby, the Run for the Roses. Stuart Elliott, you never lost the faith, and he delivered.
Stu's my man. You know, he's capable of a ride like that time after time after time. And you know, I've stuck with him for a long time. Him and I have been great, you know, a good team together. And you know, when you got a guy like that, he's your go-to guy. You stay with him. You don't change when you get in the big game.
You're born in Charlestown, West Virginia. Short ride to Pimlico. You like crab cakes next week?
I love crab cakes. I'll be heading that way, hopefully.
John Service, the winning trainer. Smarty Jones now 7 for 7. Service earned $5.8 million today for the horse. Unbelievable. The story of Smarty Jones continues. Congratulations, Sean.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but they have to pay taxes on that.
And the jockey.
You know what's commendable is you see it so many times. A horse gets to a certain level, get rid of that first jockey, bring in a Bailey, bring in a whoever, and they stick with the guy, show the kind of loyalty, and it really is sort of a family team situation that prevailed.
And you know, to me, what one of the key points in the race was, and I'm glad John Service mentioned it, he talked about on the backstretch when he was getting a little pressure from the outside, that was Pollard's vision immediately to his outside. And what happened about almost halfway down the backstretch, Smarty Jones was about to get stuck behind Lionheart, okay? Because Pollard's vision was to his outside and John Velasquez on Pollard's vision was pressuring. So what Stuart Elliott did, and you could see it on the head-on replay, he leaned Smarty Jones to the outside, bumped a little bit into Pollard's vision to secure room and get him out from behind Lionheart, and then Smarty Jones went on about his business.
Make sure he had his space so he could sweep outside. Now, a lot of times people say, you know, how am I going to not bet so-and-so and so-and-so together? For instance, like a Baffert and a Lucas. Well, they weren't in this race. First time that neither of them were in this race since, what, 1980? And we believe Jeremy Plunk, our researcher, has a theory here. Some kind of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania type jinx. What's that?
Yeah, when you go back to 1980, that was the year that the Philadelphia 76ers made it to the NBA Finals and lost to the Lakers. It was the year the Phillies won the World Series. And what was the other one? The other, the
we don't care at this point.
The Phillies, the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl.
It's a good day for the state of Pennsylvania. Here it is from the blimp, and whenever we ride on blimps, we go on the Spirit of Goodyear. There it is, Lionheart, and no knock on Mike Smith. I mean, he did the right thing. He got out, got that space. He just had a better horse chasing him today.
Absolutely perfect ride by Mike Smith. What Smith commented on was going into the second turn. He looked at the big, huge television monitor there. He could see what was behind him, and he saw Lionheart. Excuse me, he saw Smarty Jones right behind him. So he said, all right, I know he's back there. I'm going to try to open up on him when I go into the second turn and see if I can break it open. And that didn't work. I mean, obviously, he did kind of pop another length maybe, but Smarty kept coming with the kind of resoluteness that he keeps showing time and again.
Yeah, and you got to give, we're looking so much at the front end, which we are again here in a little tighter shot. He's going by him right now. He hasn't hit him with a stick, has he? He's just right there.
Yeah. But you got to keep in mind, too, another interesting angle to this. Both of these horses have sprint pedigrees. All right, Smarty Jones and Lionheart. Lionheart by Tail of the Cat. Tail of the Cat was nothing but a sprinter. Smarty Jones by Elusive Quality, who mainly sire sprinters and was a very fast horse himself, and yet they have such quality that they're able to carry their speed. And the sloppy track helped. The sloppy track definitely helped. I don't think it's just coincidence that they were able to open up from the rest of the field some quality stretch runners the way that they did. They ran very well, but if it was on a fast track, I think you might have seen horses a little more clumped together down the lane.
We'll see these two go after each other on another day, maybe in 2 weeks. Smarty Jones giving up $10.20 to its backers. Lionheart $8.20 on the place. And a lot should be said again. Kristen Mulhall, Imperialism, she got that one ready. You remember what happened in the Santa Anita Derby, got cut off, so you don't know really what it had. Well, it had enough to be third against 18 horses, 17 other horses here in the Kentucky Derby. So Smarty Jones goes away unbeaten. If we have mispronounced any words or you question our spelling of any words, certainly watch the Scripps Howard National Spelling Bee. You're going to watch that. It's next here on ESPN2. This has been a presentation of ESPN, worldwide leader in sports. Go to ESPN.com. Do whatever you want. Good day.
Deadlocked at the 8th pole, and Smarty Jones is rose to the lead by journeyman jockey Stuart Elliott, and they have taken the lead away from Lionheart.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For further verification of that fact, go to ESPN.com. See you next time.